with the southern farmers freed, the resistance now controls the western half of Vaxi Island. But Capulia, ruler of Sugut, has re-established order in the island capital and plans to subdue the resistance. He has put his trusted Marshal Granus in charge of a large force and dispatched them to the west. Granus' enormous army is moving steadily west along the Central Way, heading straight for Makad. The Empire has finally dispatched a large unit to hunt us down. The resistance will suffer severe casualties if we try to fight them head on. Do you have any suggestions, Shimon? The Imperial forces don't consider us a serious threat yet and are not being as cautious as they should. Therein lies the opportunity. What do you mean? There is a fort along the Central Way, and the enemy plans to move its main force there on its way to Sugut. The fort is completely empty right now. We might be able to spring a trap on them there. Interesting. We can attack them with fire. Now burn them all! Burn them to the ground! Exactly. I'll get started on the preparations immediately. Apparently, pyromania is a requirement to join the resistance, so I'm quite glad you have that in spades, Lord Yugi. And there's going to be a bit of a jump cut while we take on our preparations. Red 2 standing by, all 4 lit, and in the green. Welcome back to YuGiOh, the Falsebound Kingdom. We have acquired a new marshal. We have the services of Tristan, whose monsters we will meet shortly. Tristan has the constructor ability. This allows us to get buildings for cheap. He comes with Gazelle, the King of Mythical Beasts, Swordsman from a Foreign Land, and Giant Soldier of Stone. So, we can now equip our forces. We will be able to prepare for the upcoming battle with new items. So, allow me to equip the following items. We've got plenty of kit. Black Pendant. Only monsters from the Darklands can wear this necklace. It gives attacker power-up and inflicts heavy damage on spellcaster monsters. So we want one of those. We also want to put a red medicine. Celtic Guardian will get a legendary sword and a blue medicine. Our Beaver will get legendary sword and the last blue medicine. So, as you can see, we've now got a considerable power up. So, we can even improve Tristan's team a bit. I will take Swordsman from a Foreign Land off his team, but we're going to meet it later on. We will replace this with Mystic Horseman, which is actually level 2. You can see all the different monsters we have. Mystic Horseman is already a bit stronger. Interestingly, Giant Soldier of Stone is counted as a spirit. It can't use any of our equipable items just yet. But you'll notice how the compatibility orb has started changing. Pretty good results for our team. Let's get Tristan kitted out. So, Mystic Horseman is counted as a warrior monster. Did I get some? Yes, I did. Giant Soldier of Stone probably can't do much healing. But we'll stick that on it anyway, just to be on the safe side. Tristan's team won't fare super well straight off the bat, but he'll come in handy later on. We'll be able to boost things for him. Now, our Penguin Soldier should probably grab a couple of sets of Beast Fangs. Basically, just imagine it with a really, really savage penguin with really, really savage fangs wearing false teeth. You're welcome. So, we should probably give that there. And now, Shimon's team. What we want to do is to give violet crystal there and a black pendant. Don't want to replace it. We want black pendant. And let's pop a dark energy in there. Also might put a red medicine on the team too. Let's hold on to that violet crystal too. So there we are, we've kitted out the team. We have, thanks to the use of the Konami code, much more we can do. Let's bring Tristan along for the ride too. We have everything prepared, we have some new monsters to meet. I'll introduce Tristan's team as we get going. And we'll be able to, we may not be able to find monsters in every mission, but I will show you the items we can purchase as well. So, I'll quickly save, because I've actually got everything sorted out from the last mission and I don't want to lose everything. And when you see us again, we'll be in the next battle. This fort here is the key to our current plan. We've rigged the fire to go off at 9 o'clock tonight. Make sure you've all brought your marshmallows and hot dogs. We're going to have a roast. Any teams in the fort when the fire starts will suffer heavy damage, so do try to stay out of the way. Remember, what separates us from a couple of 14-year-old pyromaniacs is ballistics glass. Always remember that. We also received news that the enemy is headed straight along the central way towards this fort. We will avoid direct confrontation, lure the enemy to the fort and then crush them after the fire, assuming there's anything left of them. This kind of might actually be very dangerous, so we're just going to have to make sure we don't get arrested. We will need to defend the fort until the prearranged time and keep the enemy from advancing too far. So, we actually have a bit to do in this chapter, but what I'm going to do is move the teams out and get them ready to encounter our enemies. We will simply wait and let our enemies occupy the fort. We will get the standard items, as we can see in the base here. The trader gives us Blue Medicine, Goblin Secret Remedy, and Monster Reborn. We don't really need a lot of those. If your team does well enough, you shouldn't really need Monster Reborn. There we are moving out and ready to flank the base. So, we have 6 enemy marshals who will all wind up sitting in that base. Let's get ourselves positioned and wait. Giant Soldier of Stone made its international debut in Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon. This card was only a rare compared to Mystical Elf being a super rare. In Japan, it debuted in Volume 3. And yes, you're actually seeing that properly, a normal monster from the early days which isn't really crap. Giant Soldier of Stone still has pretty decent defense, especially for a level 3 monster, and there's some pretty good rock support out there nowadays. It might not be as good as newer effect monsters which have popped up among the rock types, but Giant Soldier of Stone will still put in work. Its finest moment was the epic display of anime jank in the very first season, where it attacked Yugi's Mystical Moon equip card to leave the freaky fish guy high and dry in the battle against Mako Tsunami. Of course, this moment got turned into the famous Attack the Moon spell card, where changing the battle position of a rock-type monster let you destroy a spell or trap card on the field. Gazelle, the King of Mythical Beasts, made its international debut in Metal Raiders, where it was a super short print. which basically meant good luck finding it. It was really hard to get. Cheap strategy. It's reappeared since, thankfully. In Japan, it debuted in their version of the Metal Raiders set. Interestingly, due to its Japanese name, Gazelle will always be treated as a Phantom Beast monster. So if you wanted to, you could stick it in with the Mecha Phantom Beasts and do something really daft. As you might have guessed, this also isn't actually a gazelle. It's more like a lion with a horn, if I'm going to be honest. It's still not a particularly flash monster anyway. It's probably a good idea to pick it up here though, because you will find Baphomet, and you will be able to create Chimera, the flying mythical beast, when you have polymerization. Swordsman from a Foreign Land made its international debut in Legacy of the Valiant, which is its only such appearance so far. In Japan, it debuted in Booster 4, and that's its only appearance there. So yeah, it's not appearing very often. 1 OCG appearance, 1 TCG appearance. It's not even that special. Its effect is simply too slow for the game's pace these days. Even attacking a powerhouse back then might as well have been useless. This card really exists more as a curiosity than anything else. Upon its international release, as you might see in the frame, its name became Swordsman from a Distant Land. I suppose it's all down to the way the different kanji or katakana could be read. But really, this isn't that special. It's almost time. And there we are. Well, let's get out the marshmallows, everybody. Come on, we're having a bonfire. The teams in the fort are taking heavy damage. Now, doesn't that fire look brilliant? This is why we want pyromaniacs in our army. They really do the best job with this sort of stuff. Now we can move in and start damaging the enemy. The enemy forces are going to have very low HP, and this is a good opportunity to level up Tristan's team. So, Mavelus and Wing Eagle. These are interesting adversaries because they will actually perform a very unusual role much later in the game. We'll get around to that though. We want to take out Wing Eagle with a single blow. Alright, guard, that's fine. We will knock out Thunder Dragon. Now, it's a little unusual to note that there are 3 Harpy Ladies, but only 1 Thunder Dragon. We'll get to that later on, though. Oh, not enough through the guard. Oh well, we can still get some more experience for Tristan's team. And who's going to attack next? It's going to be Gazelle. And there we are. That's basically how you complete this mission. Now, as far as I know, when you get much stronger monsters, and you've done the campaign a few times, you should be able to knock these enemies around really easily, possibly intercepting them. I'll let Tristan take the first 3 battles, then Fizdus and Shimon can take care of things. That enemy soldier should wind up coming from the enemy headquarters soon, because one of their marshals actually stays behind. Not a bad strategy, but we can prepare for that one. Alright, so we do have some pretty... Thank you. Thank you very much, Gazelle. That's how you use a scythe. They're actually very impractical as weapons. They are basically designed as reaping implements. They are meant to sort of use the inside of the blade. Oof, copped a critical, that's rough. The inside of the blade is meant to basically cut through crops and things like that. They're not actually very practical slicing weapons unless you make the outside edge a cutting weapon as well, and in that case, it makes things really, really awkward. Honestly, there are much better weapons out there than just scythes. I mean, you might as well just go with a regular axe for heaven's sake, but you'll see we're doing more damage on account of the fact we have those equip items. Man, Tristan's team is doing very well, catching up really nicely. So, we want to move Fizdus team in shortly. Rightio, Fizdus will take the next battle and I stop Tristan moving in. It's mostly just sort of blitzing through our enemies. Okay, so that one waited. Doesn't matter which one we pick off, really. I will probably wind up showing you how this goes in a different approach when we do this again. Because yes, you do need to do this again to unlock certain monsters. We'll get to that in due course, though. This one. We'll also have much better... Gazelle, come on! Oh, boy. Thank you. Don't know why Garuzas didn't get another shot. Waiting should let the monster move a bit earlier, as far as I know. But we got the kills. We do actually have one more monster to wind up collecting in this chapter. But that's going to come a bit later on. We also have a few items we can get if we wind up heading to the south. We don't get very good items from here, probably because we burnt down their entire inventory. I mean, we could have actually got some good plunder out of this, but no, we had to go and set everything on fire, and the fort's model is still the same. If we scroll around, you will see that that is very much an on-fire fort. I mean, what's with that? Why did they not actually bother to create an extra model that's like, this fort is on fire? I suppose it would have been only used once. So it probably wasn't worth it, but oh well. And then let's wrap this one up. Fizdus' team is actually going pretty well. Probably the easiest advantage Knight Adept monsters. Just wait for the right time and away you go. Seem to have an affinity for things like that. It's why I always wind up using Dusk Balls in Pokemon games, because I mostly play at night. They're just a lot more practical. You stop. You go there. Then Yugi can move into the base, but we're going to have Yugi move out pretty quickly. Alright, so we've actually got some fairly interesting monsters in this one. We have Shadow Ghoul, Rocket Warrior, and Mystic Horseman. Shadow Ghoul was part of a very interesting fusion, but we will of course get to that a bit later on. It's kind of odd how some cards actually did wind up becoming fusion monsters just because in the actual card game. And then some of them were actually changed from being fusion monsters to normal monsters. The early days of this game were absolutely weird. Really, really weird. Geez, Shimon's doing pretty well. Solid. Very solid stats indeed. So we'll build that. We'll send Fizdus down south. And we'll send Yugi straight north. Or pretty much straight north anyway. So, our that's not straight north. It's actually a bit terrible. Now this guy is supposed to wind up coming to get us at some point. This guy, not Granus. We have to fight Granus in his base. So we'll keep an eye on the map and see what happens. Oh, really badly off track. That was Norton. Rightio, so he's coming for this base here. So as we can see, our anti-ground cannon is actually well set up. Tristan... we'll give Shimon another battle. Now, it was somewhere around here, I think. Maybe we have to go a bit more this way. Now, if we scroll down here very quickly... Catapult turtles, open fire! And as you can see, the enemy team has been damaged by our anti-ground cannons, making the fight a lot easier. What percentage of health do they lose? Oh, we did find it!
Is it a raid? Huh. It seems tame enough. Do you want to come with me?
So, wandering around wherever Yugi is, just about up there, we'll get to it after the battle. So, at certain locations on the map, you will encounter wandering enemies. Some of them, depending on the circumstances, will wind up joining you. We've seen the ones that you can battle randomly, but some will just join you depending on who you are. You have to send Winged Dragon Guardian of the Fortress in order to get... Well, you have to send Yugi to get Winged Dragon Guardian of the Fortress. And while we're going through this battle, we'll put a profile up. Winged Dragon Guardian of the Fortress number 1 made its international debut in Metal Raiders, also appearing in Yugi's starter deck. In Japan, it debuted in Volume 4. And let's be honest, for a monster with such a lengthy name, there really is not a lot which is impressive about it. This monster just has access to different supports to Celtic Guardian, while it's also easier to get in terms of set rarity. Not a bad trade-off really. Its counterpart, Winged Dragon Guardian of the Fortress number 2, has virtually the same pose but mirrored, though it's painted red and it has 200 less attack and defense. Maybe the paint fumes got to it, or maybe the lower stats just reflect the lazy design. Interestingly, this monster's attack, according to its card text, is a sweeping dive, but in this game, and famously in the anime, its attack is a fireball. So it's just around this area that you will find Winged Dragon Guardian of the Fortress number 1. If we head down here, we can take stock of a few items with our trader. What are we going to... So, we've already got a generous amount of money from using the Konami code. So, we can get Shadow Spell and Blue Medicine and Germ Infection, level 2 magic that poisons all enemies. It's worth noting this, but there aren't great items in this particular chapter. If we get a trader over here, we have the same stuff as the starting area. Now, I'll send Fistus and Yugi in to battle our boss, Granus. So we should be able to take this down pretty easily. Let's just speed this up and get to it. This is a pretty simple mission in all fairness if you play according to the strategy.
You've done it now, rebels! I'm gonna finish every last one of you!
And as usual, we get a lot of big talk from fairly generic guy with ridiculous anime hair. I mean, admittedly, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Ridiculous anime hair is kind of standard issue. So we have 3 different monsters to battle. Cannon the Sword Mistress, Zanki, and Lava Battle Guard. Let's take a look at them. So, both Zanki and Lava Battle Guard are sporting Blue Medicine. We want to spread our attacks out. None of them have abilities apart from Cannon, who is Road Adept. Whoops. So we'll want to start targeting Lava Battle Guard, but not drop them below half health. We do have very powerful monsters on our side. But this team grows very strong in the later game. We have some pretty handy monsters here. We will get them in due time, don't worry about that. Just takes a bit longer. So, I probably want to go for Cannon and break her guard. Okay, defenses are down. Rightio, I don't think they're going to be in healing range. Will they be targeting one monster of mine? Okay. Shredder appears to be based on an EI Jutsu strike. So, Cannon has no more moves left. Let's plan this out. We'll wait until these enemies move. Then I can heal my team and chip away at their healers. Sometimes just holding on patiently is the key to victory. But I'll get a bit of experience for Yugi and then let Fizdus clean this one out. Shimon can probably come in as a bit of a backup. Blue Medicine will not cut it when monsters get a lot stronger. We have very good equip items helping us out. Now, as I had to point out, Blue Medicine actually heals 35% of the monster's HP, while Red Medicine will top up all HP. Let's use the last bit. Top up Celtic Guardian's HP. Just as an insurance policy. Then we can let... No, maybe I probably should. Yugi will get plenty of experience anyway. I'll let Fizdus finish this one off. She's got a pretty solid team as it happens. It's really good to see that a lot of monsters will actually turn out very well. I mean, Hornimp gets a little bit more for being Knight Adept. So that's quite useful. Now we're looking to just hammer the defenses of Cannon the Sword Mistress and chip down that HP to 0. Lava Battle Guard is not a very fast monster. On the other hand, Zanki is reasonably fast. Picking your targets and knowing how fast they move is important. It can be a little difficult to work it all out in the long run, but eventually you'll get there. And after a while, it really worked. Jeez Louise, how much? That's some serious work, Penguin Soldier. I mean, I did give it 2 Beast Fangs, didn't I? Yeah, it's got 2 copies of Beast Fangs, but that still hit for way more than I thought it was going to. Like, I've put together a pretty solid team. Those equip items do so much. And with no more action points, Lava Battle Guard is just left to feel the brunt of our strikes. We've wrapped this one up pretty quickly. And there we are. Well done, team. Wow, that Penguin Soldier, it's putting in work. And that's pretty much it. That's actually a fairly short mission if you know what you're doing. It's simple, straightforward, and pretty effective. Anyway, with plenty of money under our belt, we will move on to the next mission. Thank you very much for joining me. Until next time, this is Red 2, returning to base.